Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to our audience joining us from different parts of the world and many parts of India today. Welcome to AVINYA, an insight series by the Alumni Association of Indian Institute of Forest Management. AVINYA is where we bring stories of vision and impact to life. I'm Shikha Kalra, class of 2003 in London. I'm joined by rest of the AVINYA team, Sandeep Chakravarti, class of 91, based out of Jakarta. Sandeep is the president of IIFM Alumni Association and India's current ambassador to Indonesia. Along with my new co-host today, Paul Basil, class of 94 in Kochi, Kerala. He is the founder of Willgrow, Mentara Capital, and Pollinate Impact. Paul joined us as our featured guest in the previous episode, where he shared his extraordinary journey in building India's social entrepreneurship system. And when someone shares so much wisdom in 90 minutes, we don't let them go. We drag them in and make them the co-host of the series. So thank you, Paul, for stepping in. Before we go further, a few housekeeping points. If you have questions at any point, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We aim to take audience questions around the 45-minute mark. We also continue to build our IIFM entrepreneur database. If you are an IIFM alum or have a spouse, child, sibling or parent who is an entrepreneur, please reach out to Bhushan Patil, PFM 2018, to add to that database. May I request the audience to keep your video off and stay on mute while the speakers are talking? I can also see in the audience, we have some IIFM students, and we also have a faculty member, Dr. Pandey, who has joined us. Thank you all for joining. Very nice to have you here. Today, we have a very special episode of AVINYA, because for the first time, we have two co-founders joining us together, two IIFM alums who are building one of the most compelling deep tech ventures in the water intelligence space. Together, they're building something truly groundbreaking. The AI operating layer for water, NatureDots, is transforming how the world understands, restores, and manages freshwater ecosystems. If nature had a voice, if ponds and lakes had analytics, if ecosystems could raise their hand and say something is wrong, NatureDots is making that possible. Please join me in welcoming Snehal Verma, CEO, class of 2019, and Mohammad Atish Khan, COO, class of 2009, both out of New Delhi. Snehal brings global experience working at the intersection of water, climate resilience, and digital innovation. A Fulbright scholar with degrees from Duke University, IIFM, and a BTech in computer science, she has received numerous global fellowships and awards. She was named as World Bank CEO Champion for Water, World Economic Forum Top Innovator. And as CEO of NatureDots, she leads capital infusion, commercialization, global partnerships, and is driving thought leadership on these topics. Atish, the CEO, is a climate finance specialist, international Article 6 negotiator at climate treaties, representing the small island nations at COPs for over a decade, and a deep tech strategist who has delivered climate and water solutions across 20 countries in projects worth $250 million. His work sits at the intersection of climate, diplomacy, AI, and ecosystem restoration. He has master's degrees from Yale University and IIFM, and an undergrad in engineering. Also a recipient of 10 plus global fellowships, including Fulbright and Acumen. Atish serves as COO of NatureDots, overseeing strategy, execution, operations, partnerships, and product scale-up. Snehal and Atish, welcome to AVINYA. I'd like to start with our first question. If someone meets you in an elevator and asks you, what do? How will you explain NatureDots? What is NatureDots? And the big problem you're trying to solve. Explain it like you would explain to your grandparents.
Sure. Thank you for the question. And I think my answer would be in such cases is that at NatureDots, we are trying to understand what makes water healthy. And to diagnose that, like a doctor, we understand from various parameters of water, various scenarios of water. And that's what we are able to bring information. It's like, a weather information handy to everyone so that they are able to make decisions very quickly, proactively. And that's what we are doing with water.
Snehal, would you like to add to that?
So that's a terminology we both agreed, like doctor for water, maybe the best way to say what NatureDots is working on. Yeah.
Okay. Paul?
Snail, this is really for you. As an investor, I haven't seen too many women entrepreneurs in the deep tech space, and in the climate space. So, help us understand your journey in specific and the challenges that you faced and your experiences in being a woman entrepreneur.
Thank you.
I would add to that. In fact, Paul, both of you come from two different batches of IIFM, 2009 and 2019. You're 10 years apart, almost a generation apart. So talk to us a little bit about that experience of working together.
I think it's very it's good and it has its own challenges. I'll be very honest when it comes with like intergenerational gap. But to your question, Paul, the first one, women in entrepreneurship and then women in deep tech entering this space. Of we do need more women leaders. One of the main challenges, of course, um, is it could be something as simple as getting access or issues of mobility. So, for example, when I was in IIFM and when I was working on this project, there could be challenges as simple as curfew hours, which you set for women candidates and which are not there for my, male colleagues studying. Something as simple as that. And we need to rethink that. So an ecosystem has to be developed which promotes entrepreneurship and critical thinking for all, irrespective to gender. And the second one, of course, when you are out and about on the field, it's always um, you have to face a lot of challenges, whether it's in India or whether it's outside of India. The infrastructure is definitely not women friendly. And now we come about tackling getting access to the right resources or getting in front of right people. I think women has to work a little harder to identify who their champions are and find their creed and then make their way into few of these network capital situations where they can be in front of the right investors, right team members, right talent, and then take a call. There's a lot of human behavior dynamics, as I have seen. So based on who you are pitching to and where you are pitching to, um, one has to navigate situation. For example, if I'm speaking with investors based out of Norway, it's pretty different over there. They would expect you to come for the meetings in sauna rooms, but that's not going to be the same thing when you're holding meetings for, say, in Philippines or India. Um, Even in terms of conversation, how you're conducting yourself. So I think these soft skills are something that women do not have active access to. We are not taught, but this should be taught and this should be part of ecosystem. On the other part, Atish, would you like to start in terms of how it was working with the team? But to start off, it was when I started working on AquaNurch and NatureDots came into being. Of course, I was speaking with a bunch of my classmates. I think Gayatri is also here. She was my roommate, so she has seen me through, doing experimentation in our Aravali hostel room to COVID, who I don't think is joining. But I had a chance to work, take support of my friends. And then when I presented the idea to Atish, he also got curiously interested. So, Atish, would you like to add?
Sure, definitely. And I think that is the point where, irrespective of our batches and experience, when I started having that deliberation with Snehal, visited IFM, saw that raft, there was a snake as well on the raft. I think that is a hook, I would say, because I'm very fond of snakes. So that's a positive indicator for me to, explore more that engagement. And that's where we started having deliberation. I was also coming at that point of time from a global discussion on some policy note which I submitted in IUCN World Congress in Hawaii on restoration conservation of different water bodies in urban areas. And then suddenly this discussion on water is started. Snehal has been trying to do despite all the constraint at IFM. I think she got some great suffer as well because of all the classes she missed. And that's where I felt, yeah, we have like good energy, we have good complementary skills, and we can create an institution together, and with Snehal as a leader to lead it. And that's where I also need to really thought, because I was coming from a lot of experience with a lot of biases as well. Over the years, working 10 years more, I have my own biases. But I think one thing which really favors me in this is that in my career, except in one case, most of the cases I have always a women boss. So that's where it's kind of taught me how to work with women. And I think what Snehal said, that is also true with a lot of male colleagues and other genders as well, because nobody's really taught these soft skills and we have to learn on the go. And in when I was in US, a lot of things were just assumed by default. India, it's a very different scenario. Or when we are working, like for example, with small island nations or with our clients in some other part. Even in Europe, it varies a lot. If you're working in Germany or working in Norway, like that's very different scenarios as well. So a lot of these soft skill one has to navigate, and that's where I think we both bring a lot of complementarity and as a good co-founder with Snail as a CEO leading NatureDots. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. For the benefit of the audience, I know Shika started off by saying, explain it to your grandparents. But could you just detail a little bit more? Tell us what NatureDots is and your overall quicker, not a quicker, but a slightly longer version of what NatureDots is.
Just so the audience understands the product a bit better and what you're trying to do.
Sure,
Snail, you can take
I
up.
can take that attempt. So one of the main problem statement that we started to tackle was that water, everybody on planet Earth knows what water is, and we all have an individual relationship with water. Either it's for how much water we get or what kind of water. But even though water is present everywhere, we still have limitation in how water behaves. Or when you say water is polluted, okay, what is it that's making it polluted? What specific chemicals are we talking about? And we found one of the key challenges for this bridge or gap in understanding is because there isn't enough water data available, especially for countries like India. There isn't, we don't have enough information on our water assets. Now, how do you get water data? So there are tools that have been available, whether it's sensors or softwares, but these are largely industrial scale, and the sensors or some of these tools that work best are one, highly expensive and are limited to lab environments. So you have academics and researchers and maybe specialized industries using that, but that information and tool is not available to everyone at large, even though water is a common pool assets and every life depends on it. So when we started this journey, the pain point we wanted to resolve was, okay, how do we benefit some of the most impacted communities, such as fisher folks, who have their direct dependency on some of these assets and could end up using their entire stock. And we started looking at these solutions. When we began our journey, we were not thinking that we want to create a digital twin or look towards deep tech stack. But because we come from an engineering background, that was the first thing that once you started teasing the problem, you see maybe new technologies could help. In this process, we ended up creating a digital twin of a fish pond because we were able to capture a lot of data through these test sites, and that helped us develop first of its kind foundation model. Our team is largely based off, we're 95% engineers and with focus in earth sciences. So we started looking at what some of these large earth observation models look like. And then we created a foundation model for water, starting from India, because it's a data dark and data deficit. And since the architecture was trained to work in data dark regions, it gave us a quick scalability in some of the data-rich geographies, such as United States or Canada. And then from starting local, we took it global. And currently we have 7 key water quality and quantity parameters, which we're able to get real-time information on any surface water body on planet Earth within 72 hours without deploying sensors. So AquaNurch is the name of our innovation, the foundation model, and it captures the real-time data on water bodies similar to how a hardware sensor would do at a scale and spatial temporal capability of a satellite does. So this has been our breakthrough, and currently there are 40 models globally on Earth observation, and there are 2 models on water. One is of NatureDots and another one is from Upstream Tech.
Very nice. Atish, that reminds me, we have a very nice video message from your classmate, Cohen. If you can play that, that would be nice.
Yes. COVID is
Hello everyone, this is COVID from PGDFM batch 2017-19, reporting to all of you, the small yet profound community of sustainable development professionals. Today I'll share my experience with regard to the subject matter of today's episode, which is NatureDots. So I was fortunate enough to be a part of NatureDots journey in its initial phase. Even when the name NatureDots was not decided, it was its philosophy was taking shape. So let me share this experience. It was in the winter of 2017. All of us were wondering, we were in our first year, and all of us were wondering as to what kind of internship to take. So Snehal came up to me with this idea. She said, COVID, let's do aquaponics. I asked, ये क्या होता है? So she said, पानी में सब्जी भी उगाएंगे और मछली भी पालेंगे. I said, कहाँ? She said, IIFM fountain area में. So I said, okay, let's do it. And we got a bamboo raft prepared, and we filled it with hay and cocoa peat and placed a few tomato seeds on it. And after almost, we set the whole raft afloat on the fountain area. And after 2 weeks or so, we visited the area again, the raft again. So we were in for a surprise. Other than a few small tomato plants, something strange has found its place in the raft. It was a small snake, a small rat snake, and it was comfortably. It has comfortably found its place. It found its home on that raft, and it made us wonder that, water bodies behave in a certain manner in certain conditions. So what if we could have this knowledge about water bodies and how they behave, and if we could use that knowledge in order to boost the productivity of aquatic ecosystems, and in order to perpetuate sustainable development in and around that aquatic ecosystem. So that was the question. Initially, we answered that question using a bamboo raft, and right now, under the able leadership of Atish sir and Snehal, they are answering this question using an exhaustive AI mathematical model. So, all praises, all good wishes to them, and I'm sure this is just the beginning of a long, long journey, and we would definitely learn a lot about their enterprising journey and their concept and their vision in this particular episode. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Atish. Atish, I was thinking you've worked in many, many countries and with many governments in your projects that you worked on. What were the insights that you were able to bring to something like NatureDots from that experience?
Yeah, definitely. So I think my first engagement working with governments started before even when I went for Yale. So when I was working kind of at Winrock, so there I was coordinating and engaging a lot with state level and district level officials. And when I started engaging with the mayors and other government officials globally, I found there is a common traits across decision makers who are there, irrespective of which country you comes from. They also work in a lot of constraint because they are part of the system. And initially, I also got frustrated that why things are not moving, why they are slow. In my journey, I think I am able to recognize the importance and constraint of that system and how one can navigate through that system. That is what I think I'm able to bring to NatureDots, and we are also able to navigate through different government. First project which we deployed in, it was in US. So we developed this technology in India. We tested in India, and our first big project we deployed with the US States Park Department, which is the forest department there. And that's all experience I think helped us to navigate how to communicate, even how to engage with them, understanding their constraint beforehand. So that's really bringing us, I would say, speed working with government. Also risk, what are the risks and what are the challenges that we as a company we need to know in advance before making any decision or before going for any engagement with any entities. So that helped a lot.
You both touched on the experience of working with each other. How do you complement each other? Atish, if you can, say something, that Snehal brings to the table, and Snehal, if you can do that about Atish, that would be nice.
Atish, you have to think so much. I am surprised.
You can
I would say,
start.
Atish, um, Atish gives us stability, and he becomes sometimes the devil's advocate to some wild ideas if we will ever bring onto the table. That's one skill, and he has an ability to I think maybe because he's been in front of these negotiations, he has a poker face. So sometimes in like hard negotiations, that skill of Atish, where sometimes I can be visibly agitated or visibly excited, for Atish, it's like no reaction at all. Um, so we have somebody in our team who we puts in front of such situations, which is a very, very crucial skill, as I have come to learn. And yeah, so stability and being a devil's advocate in difficult, if for some of these ideations, it's something that Atish definitely adds most value to. And dealing with government stakeholders, like honestly, none of us in team could do that.
Atish, your
Thank you.
turn.
Yeah, so I think Snehal's one of the X factor, which I would say, is that when she speaks in any setting, in a group, in a conference, people listens, and that is what I have seen over the time, which is a very rare quality, which is difficult as an individual for anyone to develop, because getting recognition of your voice, that helps a lot to convey your point. I think that Snehal has. Secondly, she comes with initially when we started in 2019, and now if I see her, her confidence is multiplied by like million times. So that is a very important change as a leader of the company, and also someone who can navigate this idea. And one more quality she has is she's able to, without any hesitation, able to interact with anyone, whether she's interacting with a fish farmer, marginal fish farmer, in the same comfort level she provide that fish farmer to share, to interact, or she's talking to a minister of any XYZ country. So I think that range of comfortable, which maybe because of exposure or maybe because of her experience comes in, it does not really limits what to share and when to share. So that really gives a lot of strength as individual and to the team. And whenever we are at a point where we need to really deliberate on idea, Snehal is the one leading, because she comes with all fancy idea going to the Mars kind of. And we appreciate that always. Sometimes I need to play, hold the horses kind of a role, which brings the balance in the team at times. Yeah. Because
Well,
Snehal
that's a
is
great
like,
comment.
yeah, Snehal is like Ferrari and I am like, Enfield. So the team always is between Enfield and Ferrari. So we need to bring them together so that none of us run faster than the whole team, and we can also keep the team together and bring along with our speeds as well.
I really like that, aiming for Mars. Snail, that's great. I feel like there could be some attribution to the IIFM education in being able to talk to a fish farmer, to an investor.
For sure, for sure. I think I always I owe that a lot to IFM. The field experiences that we had received during the course of our study period were life-changing. And the kind of tools and skill set that we were taught, whether it's Shardindu sir's class or YD sir's class, Advait sir's, Manmohan sir, even Ashish David sir's, they were things which I had no idea about. And also the fact like how environment needs management. So yeah.
Could you talk to us about 2, 3 use cases? And the use case that I'm really excited about is the impact on fish farmers. But if you could actually talk a little bit about the use cases and how value has been generated for whoever is your customer, that'll be interesting.
Yes, for sure. One thing which we learned was that small scale or sustenance fish farmers will not pay for the solution. It was a hard learning, but it was a quick learning. They wouldn't ever pay for an intelligence. And so we had to pivot and think about, okay, this is an impact story, but this is not a revenue story. Where would the revenue come from? So we looked at other use cases. And when you're working on a foundational problem like water, there could be many use cases, but which one would you go and pick up the first? Water is still a state subject in India and in many parts of the world. So working with government becomes unavoidable. Just the strategy of which department you want to work with government, that sometimes becomes the trick. One of our key use cases is working with water utilities. We focus on working with private water utilities which supply water for drinking or for irrigation. So far, we've been able to save almost this last year 25 million USD worth of downtime loss avoidance by the 7 water utilities that we work with, because we give them predictive intelligence on what's going to change in water at what scale. Our clients are able to optimize their operations accordingly and reduce their penalties and compliance cost. The second key use case is, of course, commercial aquaculture. It's a big food security domain, big protein security. And frankly, aquaculture has far less carbon and emission footprint as compared to other food crops. Commercial aquaculture is now transitioning. So with our tools, one of our AI native platform called the Twingills, we are able to help them reduce their biological asset mortality by 10% and give them, of course, the feature optimizations, help them reduce their cost of production, but also getting access to right credit and insurance products, because now you have data and traceability inbuilt by using a product. The third use case is, of course, with restoration and conservation agencies, because since we are a foundation model, we want more users to build other innovations on top of it. And they're also using the product to increase the increase the efficiency of restoration, increase the survival rate of the restored sites.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. And which of these is your key customer now, which is actually evolving as an anchor key customer?
Private water utilities, desalination plant operators, hydro energy, and commercial aquaculture.
Okay, in that order. Okay.
Yep.
And in your anchor customer, which is the utilities, what key bottlenecks did you face as you were actually getting into them? What really required you to change your design or change how you sell? If you could just walk us through that, that would be really helpful.
Yes, that's a very important question. So water utilities are legacy infrastructures. They have huge lifetime. They are huge upfront cost of creation. So when you're introducing any new tech, such as foundation model, the information the system generates could be overwhelming for them. So we had to really work on also training and educating our clients on the efficiency and using of this AI model. That's the first one. Now, based on where the water utility is placed is another factor. So water utilities in India are still far away from digitization, honestly. We're still working on legacy systems. SCADA penetration is great, but there are areas where you don't even have that level of digitization. So navigating that is crucial to understand, and then designing the deployment strategy accordingly or go to market accordingly is what we do. From a tech side, we don't do much customizations, but we've identified where we need how much. One thing in India, which we have seen an opportunity, sometimes when there is no investment in technology, when the new technology comes, which is far easier, the adoption can be hyper quick. And we are seeing those those experiences also come out in some of these other areas, especially in, say, municipal councils and others. For private water utilities working out of Australia, where there's already a heavy digitization being done, we had to add more on top of what they have already invested in. So making sure that our product is seamlessly integrated into SAP, Salesforce, and some of these other tools that they use was a learning we developed on Go. So these two, educating the client and training them on the process, being ahead of the data compliance and AI compliance landscape that's happening. And third, of course, tweaking and customizing to benefit the right customer.
Thanks for that, Snehal. You were talking, and previously Atish was talking, and I was thinking, you're building a foundational model, which is a big thing. At any point, was there a moment when you felt, yes, this is starting to work? Yes, this is going to make a difference in the lives of people. Was there such a moment when you felt that?
Adish, do you want to take this? I have many stories. I don't know what you would want to highlight.
No, definitely. I think we have tested our model at various levels, and we were very confident about it when we are started deploying, because we can detect water quality without touching and going water, to water without installing an IoT. Then itself is like a eureka moment for us. But when we deployed, I think first of our intervention in US while developing in India, that was like a point where we felt okay, like, it's why we are trying to confine. We are at the start, like, we are a global company now, and right now we are working in 7 countries. So that particular intervention, and it was not only just some water quality, because at that point of time we were detecting, our like task was to predict when the toxic algal bloom happens in a water body. And it's a very different water body as compared to the whatever we'll get. It's like in Washington state, it's connected with a small wetland and also like a small coastal area with the creeks and all. So it's a very challenging ecosystem for us to deploy. And that first successful implementation was like, gave us so much confidence that we are like able to deploy like in so many places. And that really gives us a confidence to negotiate and to engage with very big clients, like companies with market cap of $1 billion are kind of using our tech right now. So even having the conversation with their leaders and CEOs, that confidence came from there, all these small successes.
I would
That's
add,
quite a remarkable story.
yeah,
Sorry.
I would add like the most impact that we were able to document from our impact side in the landscape where we are working, Bihar and Chhattisgarh and Manipur, some of the most toughest geographies, by giving people access to water quality information, right? We were able to change the source water drinking points for 2,500 families. And nobody had imagined, like one of our partners, the Digital Green and others, they were surprised, like, how did you guys make that shift happen? But it was just like nobody had ever tried giving communities the access to this water quality information in a manner that they could understand. The most easiest thing they could do is ki is kuए का पानी nahi, we should go and drink that kuए का पानी and then help reduce the many problems that they were facing, and then think about now about, okay, what kind of filter system do I need if my fluoride is high or zinc is high? That's what we are, that's one of the main impact that highlights for me right now. And the farmers, the small scale fish farmers we started working with in 2019, they became now one of those, we were able to help them transition from small scale to medium scale, and now few to commercial scale. So where they were not paying initially, now after 3 or 4 cycles of fisheries, they are able to become paying customer. And we have more confidence in terms of how our business model would work here.
Excellent. Excellent. Atish and Snail, building foundational model, I thought requires considerable resources. Not plugging in here as an investor, but it takes huge amounts of money, computational power and skilled personnel and all of that. Now, are you going that path, or have you been successful in doing that in a frugal manner?
We've been successfully doing it in frugal manner. We spent like more than 300,000 USD in compute cost in the last 3 years. So, I mean, as you mentioned, Paul, these are expensive things to develop, but highly impactful. We had to be frugal in our model architecture and design, where the cost could have touched $1 million just for training. Because of the way that we designed and the kind of pain points we were focusing on, it wasn't that let's develop this and see where it sticks. It was more like this is what our focus client group needs. And also because we come from the water industry or environment, we knew what kind of data. So we only chose to develop those parts and commercialize them first to get the revenue in line. We have been bootstrapped and we've raised only non-dilutive capital, which gives us freedom and flexibility to operate and test in different industries and areas. And one of our main investors were BIRAC, DST, DBT, then of course Climate Cake, CDC, and World Economic Forum, HCL Tech. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent, great.
Snail, you worked with over 9,000 farmers and covered a massive area of land and water. Could you share one story where you felt there was real impact and it stayed with you? Because I think we all relate to stories very well. So if you could share a story there.
I'm just thinking because Atish, any story that stayed with you? I have.
Although you've talked about farmers, going from being very small farmers to going to a commercial scale farmer there. Any specific stories that you might want to share?
I have multiple stories. I'm just trying to pick which one. I think one unique pattern which we found in aquaculture as compared to the agriculture is there is a lot more young people are now coming into aquaculture. And if you see the age bracket, we have like almost, I think 35-40% of all the farmers working with us in the age group of even 20 to 30, I would say. So that is a very unique profile. And that's where when we started working, we found that, okay, they are very pro in terms of understanding. They all can use mobile and it helps. And many times they also lost like their catch when we started working with them. Then we helped them to understand how to, avoid such kind of mortality incidences. And that those incidences like give us a very good in terms of our impact thesis. And also it gives us pretty, I would say, happiness that, okay, we are able to at least bring a good change and good productive change to these users.
For me, when we demonstrated this data equity model, so our business model is that we give intelligence to small scale fish farmers for free. We don't charge them anything. We have revenue coming in from our commercial clients, which the fish farmers basically help us get access to some of the critical information, so on fish health and other aspects. When we shared about this model or this nature positive business model with other industries and stakeholders like aquatic blue food coalitions and UN food systems or Amina J. Mohammed and others, they were pleasantly surprised because the world is needing more business models which are new, which challenges the conventional business model. So you can have economic gains without compromising on ecosystem integrity. And somebody had to think about that. Now, this model being replicated in other parts of the world, that gives us a confidence right now. And we have seen that change happen. So there's a new Ghana aquaculture cluster which is being formed. NatureDots is also part of that, where we are taking this methodology to newer countries now. And we are able to see positive returns within first fishery cycles for, if you ask me just about fishery use cases.
Great, great. You're at a stage, a cusp of growth and development. You've proven your product. There seems to be demand. That you've established the pricing of it, etc., etc. How are you building the team intentionally? Because this is all a people-oriented enterprise, because it's about knowledge and deep tech and things like that. So how are you investing in people? How are you recruiting the best? What's the thinking around that?
One is that we want to stay lean for sure. And so far, that's been the strategy. Team still is 90%, 95% engineers. And we do a heavy not due diligence, but we really put in efforts when we are hiring talent. So we are doing recruitments. We are very conscious about maintaining the team culture. NatureDots is not hierarchical. We are more horizontal and hybrid depending on situation. But I think this is where I owe Atish, because every interview Atish has done by himself. Atish, maybe you can share more
How
about.
many of you in the team now?
We are 20 team member and we have 0% attrition rate for last 3 years.
Wonderful. Atish, tell us
Sure.
the secret sauce.
Yeah, there are lot of logics around it, how to pick a candidate, and a lot of black and white thesis we put up. There are processes and all, but at the end, a lot of gut feeling as well when we interact with a candidate, and that is very difficult to define. That okay, whether that person will stay with us, because we are in a journey where a lot of innovation happens. So that means 90 out of 10 times we fail what we are trying, and we need someone who really always on high on energy to keep trying. Because if somebody started getting frustrated, they're okay, I developed this and this got discarded, or I'm trying this and it's not working, because it's first of its kind what we are doing. So there is no written rules about it. We need to set all the rules, and that is where I think very open environment, engaging with them on various levels. We also have a policy of very flexible working hours. So that also gives people their flexibility when they want to work. It's all deliverable based. It's all no ask holidays we have. So if you don't feel like working today, ping us and don't work. Like, it's totally fine. And then people work on weekends, full energy. They deliver things in such a short time. So I think that flexibility gives them an extra boost. And one more important thing is that we engage initially when we started. So we started, I think initial all our team members were engineers and even water experts who were in second or third year of their engineering. So we pick from there. Very like hardly 80% of team members college nobody has ever heard. They're all coming from very, I would say, modest colleges and unknown kind of spaces, and trying to prove themselves as their skill set. And that is what we are able to create. For example, the designer, the whole UI UX everything designer of NatureDots is not at all a trained designer. He is an engineer, just self-taught designer. Similarly, one of the candidate in a team, a gold medalist, she started after 5 years of career break. So after college, she got into family and she was not able to pursue. And then she joined, and she's like the gold in the team right now. So we are able to find, such candidates during the process. It's always difficult because so many people applied, but we put this policy in place that we will be very ethically justified to everyone's effort who applied to NatureDots. So we'll review everyone very diligently. We'll not use any AI tool to shortlist, to screen them out. And it takes time. And energy as well of me and few other team members who help at times. And we read through everyone, like we literally read through their answers, their CVs, what they intend, and through process. And we have a lot of conversation before bring them on the board. And what Snehal said, like we a lot of candidates work remotely, but we have zero iteration as compared to many tech companies where the average is around 35-40%.
Atish, that's a good message for the IIFM students, anyone on the joining us today. That's a good lesson there.
It looks like your fishing experience is useful not in your business, but in fishing great talent too.
Yes.
I would say even our co-founder like Ayush, who is the CTO, was the first candidate we recruit when he was in like second year of his college. He's now CTO of NatureDots, built, I would say, spearhead the building of foundation model globally. So that's
Nice.
quite
Nice. You mentioned you were only there are two companies building foundation models, and you're one of them. Is that what
In water, at a
In
startup level.
And at what levels is that the other company? Are they established? Are they growing fast?
Acquired.
Acquired
Okay.
very fast as soon as their model
Within 12 months.
And have you got offers?
We did.
Nice. Okay. Excellent. So what's your dream? I mean, I'm sure it's not to get acquired. What are you building, and how do you see NatureDots 5-10 years from now?
Completely shake up how we manage and look at water. Like we want the world to reimagine how water is being managed and utilized right now. We want to do away with the legacy perspective of water being a linear asset and not flowing. When air quality monitoring and data came into picture, people really started questioning and now could understand how sandstorm in Sahara has an impact on Amazon productivity. That's same with water. Water is going to flow. We released this one example of just the Persian Gulf crisis that are taking place. Any oil leak in Persian Gulf will have an impact on the coastlines of India, Pakistan, and the entire Arabian Sea, and that's going to have an impact on our fishery economy. But our management or the way that we look at water is only based on our national boundaries, imaginative. And all the industries which are water intensive and use water also follow the same principles, including the water treatment technologies. They are designed in a very linear engineering. If it's designed to control turbidity, it's only designed to control turbidity, but that's not how natural ecosystem work. So we want to bring this new perspective of managing and understanding water resources to begin with, and then devise strategies and help bring more innovation on top of this to become a research grade or credit grade infrastructure layer for anything and everything water.
Let's do an investor conversation outside of this.
Definitely.
Anyway, back to you.
I'm sharing that link as well for people to read after the.
Yes, please. And quantified goal is, of course, in next 3 years, digitally twin 10 million hectares of water bodies.
Great. Thank you. Shikha.
Thank you, Atish and Snehal. Very, very quick rapid fire round for you because we're running short of time and we do want to take some audience questions. So, Snehal, oceans at dawn or rivers at dusk?
Oceans at dawn.
Explainable AI or pure accuracy?
Explainable AI.
Harder pitch, mayor or a farmer?
Farmer.
Whales or dolphins?
Whales.
UN, World Bank, or the field days? Which
Field
one was
days.
your favorite?
Field days.
That I think many IIFMites would agree with that. Atish, for you, field deployment week or the COP negotiation week?
Field deployment week.
Green bonds, water bonds, or blended finance? We couldn't touch on that. You're an absolute expert on these topics, but which one?
Water bonds.
Snakes or birds?
Snakes.
One metric you would standardize globally for water intelligence?
That's very difficult, I think, to answer. But it's,
Okay, you can come back if you'd like.
technically, yeah, impossible to have one metric of water globally. Yeah.
Okay. Utility, insurer, or seafood buyer? Who's your first global partner?
The utility.
I think Snehal mentioned that. Yeah.
And one of the reason why, I'll just explain, because solving a problem of utility really brings an impact to millions of people who one utility supplies drinking water. So shutdown of a utility even for a day disrupts water supply to so many people.
Makes sense. Either of you, scale first or unit economics first? And I mean, I don't know if you both agree on
Unit
this, but
economics first. Yeah.
Unit economics.
single flagship market or multi-region portfolio? I know you went to the US first and you've got India, and you're already expanding, but are you going to focus on one region or just continue to grow like this?
Yeah, multi-region,
Multi-region.
multi-sector.
Open ecosystem or full stack control?
Partial open, partial control. Yeah, because of
Okay.
various data privacy and the wrong impact of the output which people can make. So we need to have some, borders and some control on the systems.
Tech breakthrough or distribution breakthrough? Snehal.
Distribution breakthrough.
And I'll say tech breakthrough.
Distribution. It's still a struggle.
I see your roles coming out there.
Yeah.
I think we've covered most of the questions. Any final words for each other? Snehal, anything for Atish? Atish, anything for Snehal before we finish and move on to the audience questions? I think we already covered the bit of that earlier. So, any last words, Snehal?
One example which we were not able to share is that though I have been negotiating for a small island nation since last almost 15 years, first I negotiated climate finance, then Article 6. But Snehal is the one who is able to convince them to have, then now we are kind of in middle of deployment of first of its digital twin for an island nation as a whole. So that is, I think, the power of shared learning and negotiation also. Snehal has a lot.
Very nice. Thank you for that. I'm going to start picking up audience questions, and I see one from Varsha. Are you thinking of expanding your services to provide solutions in assessment, in addition to assessment of water quality? Very quickly.
Not as of now, but going ahead, yes.
Okay. You did refer to this. I think Vishnu is asking, have you developed any model for small fish farmers in India? And I think you referred to that, it becoming a bit commercial after a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we are working with small fish farmers, about 9,000. This year, we are like crossing 37,000 by the end of this year. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyone working in fisheries, feel free to ping us.
Yeah.
Or water. Yeah.
Or anyone wanting to use that foundational model.
Yes, please. I was just about to
Happy
say, please feel free to. We are definitely looking to have more IIFMites join our Pioneer program.
Who are your top 5 customers? This is a question from Chandra Kishore. How long have they been your customer?
Our longest customer is still using it for last 3 years. So we completed the first contract with them. It's of course water utilities, commercial aquaculture farmers, not at liberty to take the names right now, but yeah.
And restoration conservation.
Restoration conservation. Yeah, in restoration conservation, restore, ET Zurich, them.
So we are one of the founding member of Restore as well, which is based in ETH Zurich, and which is creating like first of its hub for all terrestrial projects.
Okay. Kalul's question, are you working with any Indian municipality? We need these services and, how your product has improved the water quality working with municipality.
Yes, we have been. We worked with Pune Municipal Corporation. We're actively working with small municipal councils in state of Karnataka. Soon, we are starting in Madhya Pradesh, and we will be monitoring these water Yeah, for Jabalpur and Bhopal, hopefully.
Okay, one from Avinash, which is a very specific question. Are you working or collaborated with Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture or Central Institute of Fisheries Education on research, and whether you had any experience there?
Not as of now, but we've been working with the State Fisheries College of Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh.
Okay. Are you also working in the hydro energy sector in India? This is Subarao's question.
Not in India, but in Philippines.
Okay.
Hydro energy is one of our core
Yeah,
applications.
but we would love to. So please, Subarao, we would love to hear from you. Maybe we can connect one-on-one.
Yeah, I do see some very specific questions, one or two more. I will let people reach out to you because we are past the hour mark. And I see, like there's a question around if you have a local NGO partner for fish farmers and all that. I will let audience reach out to you. Audience, any burning question? One last question, if anyone wants to come up on the video and ask a question that we have missed and you would really like to ask. Anyone? And I see Vineet had also joined. I don't know if he has a question.
Well, I pitched to Vineet when I was in IIFM. I don't know if he remembers, but I think the input that I received from them were super helpful to stay on track of what you're developing.
That's great. Okay, so this has been a very energizing conversation.
Just take
Sorry.
Avinash's question. I think it's very specific.
Avinash, sorry, I missed that. Avinash, you want to come up on the video?
Yeah. Hi, Snehal and Atish. I heard you saying that you're working in Bihar as well.
Yeah.
I'm curious to understand. Last year, I did a value chain study on makhana. So I just wanted to understand that. Do you think that cultivation of makhana in shallow agriculture field, is there something that can be helpful from the research and the knowledge that NatureDots bring? Because a makhana board is about to be established in Bihar very soon.
Yes, so Avinash, thank you for the question. Yes, we have been looking at the makhana farming because these are also some of the areas where you have the local fisheries also being done. We've seen improvement in productivity of makhana, especially if you're looking at export grade quality by making sure we have some information on water health. So anything and everything that's being produced within the water or need more water, we are working there. So all blue foods. And actually, we are bringing makhana in the definition of blue foods because it's not there right now.
Thank you, Snehal. This is very useful because I will be connected to the government of Bihar. I definitely will get back to you. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, as I was saying, this has been one of the most energizing conversations we have had on AVINYA, and it's very special because it's that rare venture where science, technology, climate, entrepreneurship, all of these are meeting together. And thank you, Snehal and Atish, for an extraordinary conversation. We are all very excited to watch your journey unfold and wish you the very best. May you reach Mars as you're aiming for, and may the business become as global as it's possible. To our audience, on behalf of the Alumni Association and the AVINYA team, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your engagement, your questions. And we'd love to hear from you. If you have any reflections, do share in the alumni groups. Share this, we'll be sharing the video recording. Please share in your networks so more people can learn about the incredible work being done by IIFM alumni. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode of AVINYA, which is on May 17th, 7 p.m. India time, with Vedarya, founder of Srijan Buddha Fellowship Program and 1 Million Women Entrepreneurship Program. This is very special. Many IIFM graduates have worked with Ved already. And thank you, Sandeep, for the introduction. So we look forward to seeing you on May 17th, 7 p.m. India time at AVINYA. Thank you.